everybody, Jason Franklin here, back with Expedition U. Got my good friend Morad Fiki here today. Man, Morad, how you doing, guy?
Man, I'm doing great. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Man, super pumped. Man, I don't know if you remember, but we actually ran into each other at a Cardone conference. I think it was out at Fort Lauderdale. You guys were there for like the 360 because I know we sat down and had a lunch with you and your wife. And I mean, I was like, hey, I think that guy's on my Facebook. And
That's great. That's great feedback. You know, I love doing social media and just building an audience. And
absolutely.
you know, it's great to see you over there at Grant's 360 event.
Yep.
I love that. You know.
So, I mean, basically, we're living in the same world, but if I know anybody that understands living in a major metropolitan area like Houston is, like you're on one side, I'm on the other side. Like we live in completely different worlds, but we live in the same city, right?
Oh yeah. Houston is massive.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I think they said it's like 2 times the size of Maine or something like that.
Yeah, I'd believe that because it's just huge. There's so many municipalities.
Oh my gosh,
Houston,
it's ridiculous.
and it's a lot of area to work too.
It is, absolutely. Hey, a lot of opportunity, right? It's all in how we want to look at it. And I know you look at it the same way I do. And I want to jump into that. So as you know, we talked a little bit before we got on the podcast. One of the things we really love to do here is kind of talk about who fed into you, kind of where did you get started in real estate? How did you get started? How long you been in the business? Kind of first, what is your moonshot? Where are you headed? But also, where did you just like, there was a day when you're just like, man, this is never going to work. I mean, you're just beaten up because I think a lot of those new agents, when they see people performing at the level you're performing, you know, whether it's an agent or if it's somebody that's just starting a new business or a new venture, I mean, it doesn't matter, right? Because it's all the same vibe. And, you know, we love to share our amazingness, right? But sometimes there's a disconnect for the people that aren't there yet. So I would love to talk about who fed into you, where you're going, what are you killing, but then also kind of share just a little bit of this, at least one time that you're just like, you completely screwed up, right? I mean, you know, just it wasn't going to work, or kind of your best and your worst moment.
Yeah, so that's a lot to cover, but in a nutshell, you know, I'm learning every day. I mean, being in business is probably the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life, and especially building a business off the ground and learning that you got to get known. That is probably the number one most important thing, is getting known. If no one knows you, they can't flow you, right? They can't hire you. So
the best kept secret, right?
Yeah, getting known and building a brand is not an easy feat.
No.
And so that's been the major focus of my career since I got started, is building a brand, getting known, building a reputation, and doing that in a way that I can reach a lot of people in an easier way. And that's been through social media and digital marketing, which I'm passionate about, because I can reach an audience who might not otherwise know me, and I can do it online, especially since everybody's doing this all day looking at their phone.
Well, it's a multiplier, right? I mean, the thing is that I can put in 90% effort in 1,000 different areas, but as soon as I add that multiplier, you know, if I'm going to go out and do meet and greets, that's great, and that's a piece of our business, and it's something you need to do. But if I can get that same vibe, that same energy, and that same attitude out socially through platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, doesn't matter what you're on, that's that multiplier, right? I mean, so speak into that. I mean, so I think we're relatively close in the same age, right? I mean, you know, so the thing is social media is for a lot of people over the age of 40. It's kind of like, you know, oh God, they're on Facebook. You know, Facebook's for grandmas, right? You know, I mean, so how did you come into finding your vibe in social media?
Yeah, I mean, so just watching a ton of these social media influencers building a massive audience and communicating with that audience on a daily basis, it's just really motivated me to use social media to my advantage and to grow business through social media. That has been something that has come about in recent years. So all of these social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, they each have a different audience and a different demographic that is interested in that platform. So, you know, I learned very quickly that I can use all of them and reach a multitude of audiences and expand my network, expand my influence. You know, in real estate, they say you've got to network, you've got to get out there, you've got to be talking to people. contacts turn into contracts. So
Well,
I
and
figured
your
out,
network is correlated to your net worth, right?
yeah, yeah. And I figured out like, so the more contacts I make, the more I can grow my business. And how can I do it in such a way where I can reach people online on a daily basis? And that's through social media. So I learned that very quickly. Now there's a lot of work that comes with that, putting out content, producing content, finding out what do you want to talk about, what videos do you want to produce. You know, it takes a
Sure.
lot of work and it's a calculated effort, but if you're very calculated and effective, you can really use it to your advantage.
Now, are you farming that stuff out, or are you still doing it in house, or did you start in house and then you got to a point where you farmed it out for production? Or are you still, how are you handling that?
I do a lot in house, but I also use outside, editing, outside production to clean
Sure.
it up and make it more, umph to the point. And then I post a lot of that stuff because I want to be involved. I love communicating with my audience directly. And
Sure.
so that's the thing about social media too. You can't just post and forget about it. You've got to really like arbor those relationships. You've got to communicate back and forth. And the algorithms champion you when they know that you are actually communicating with the audience.
Sure.
It's not just some bot.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I mean, you see a lot of these where people like they throw up a video and then they get some comments, but they're not feeding back on the comments. It's like Gary V is crazy because I mean he'll go through and he'll spend like 9 hours at 2 o'clock in the morning, like responding back to people on their social media, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
and he's doing that on such a high level, but there's still that organic piece where he's like, no, I'm gonna come in and whether he'll take the time at 3 o'clock in the morning and tell somebody they're an idiot, right? But then he'll champion somebody else and guys like, man, you got to keep pushing, you got to kill, keep the vibe, and so I think that there's a piece of that I agree with you. You got to take it outside, but you still have to know that you're still in the trench with the people that are communicating with you.
Yeah, and then another great point about Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, these guys got massive teams. They have people working on social media, but Gary Vee was said himself before he got huge, he was doing all of his posting on social
Sure.
media. Before he got huge and before he had a team, he was doing it all. He was creating content. He was putting it out. He was posting and posting and posting and posting. So, he tells people like, you just got to do the work. You got to roll up your sleeves. You got to make it happen.
Well, and I think that's really important. And again, I don't even want to get specific to real estate, but I mean, I don't care if you're opening a donut shop, you got to be on social media. I mean, and you got to be willing to do the work. And I think a lot of people right now, even especially because you and I both very, very hyper aware of the shift in real estate over these last, 4 or 5 months. And that's not Houston specific. In fact, I would say we're probably a little better off than a lot of markets, because Houston's usually a little bit more stable. But, again, if you're opening a donut shop or you're doing whatever else, you got to put in the time. You got to embrace the suck. You got to go out and do the social media until you can farm it out. So when did you get started in your business, and kind of how did that first look for you in the beginning and to where you've grown to now?
I started when I was discharged from the U.S. Navy honorably in 2013, February of 2013. I just dove right in, and I learned very quickly that this is a business. When I was like, okay, I'm a real estate agent and my phone is not ringing. There's nobody calling me like, hey, to give me some business because I had just got started. So I wasn't known.
Sure.
So that's when I learned, okay, I need to get out there. I need to market. I need to network. I need to go find the business. It's not just going to fall on my lap. This is why 9 out of 10 real estate agents quit in the first year.
Yeah.
Because, after going 6 months without a paycheck, they're like, okay, I'm going to go get a job.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man. That first year, I think I sold 2 houses. So I think I made like 15 grand that whole year.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
that's tough. That's hard to eat on.
And you learn very fast, like, I got to make this happen. How do I make this happen? The thing about me, I got a family to feed. So
yep.
How am I going to get out there and grind and hit the pavement and make these deals happen?
Absolutely.
So I learned very quick. This is a business. It's not a job.
So the funny thing is, on the backside, a little bit of how the sausage is made. Before we do each one of these podcasts, we always send out kind of a questionnaire, because we know each other through business, but I want to kind of get some vibe on what you're thinking and what your goals are, what's your moonshot. Dude, I loved your response so much because everybody's like, I've been in it for a while. We're looking to grow. We want to help people. You came out with like guns blazing. You're like, I am the authority in Houston. No one's better at real estate than me. Top 1.4%. Suck it. Bring me business. Right. I love that vibe because the confidence in it. Because I mean, like, here's the thing. Who's gonna be your cheerleader if you're not your own cheerleader, right? I mean, and you don't want to be egotistical and like a jerk, but at the same time, you got to be able to step up. And again, this isn't real estate. This is just life. You got to be able to know your worth, and you speak into that because you had that first year and you closed 2 deals. There had to have been a moment in that year where you're like, dude, I suck at this.
Well, we got to have grace with ourselves, especially when you're trying to learn a new thing, so it wasn't that, but I knew I had to take action and figure this out. And I'm not a quitter. Me being in the military, I was, enlisted in the Marines, and then I became a naval officer. We don't quit. We figure it out. We accomplish the mission. And
adapt and overcome.
Yeah, so I decided to get in this business. I was serious about it. I always wanted to get into real estate. And I said, I'm going to figure it out, And so I just had to make moves, do training, learn, put my head down, make some calls, figure out how am I going to get business? Where's the business and where do I go to get the business?
Sure.
And that's been, the story of my last 10 years. I'm still learning every day.
One of my mentors, Jimmy Franklin, I'm sure you know who he is because he's a big deal in Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, their office does.
Any relation?
Huh? No, unfortunately, I wish, because then I might get something out of it, but other than friendship. But he put out this podcast a while back because he's been in it like 40 years. And so he did like a per decade posting.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really neat. You should go listen to it. But one of the things he said that really resonated with me, and I brought this up a couple of times on our podcast, is he's like, man, at the end of my first 10 years in real estate, I wasn't really financially in a better place than I started. By the end of my second 10 years, I could have retired and never worked again if I wanted to. Because It's like it took him that time to build that scale, to put the pieces in place, and it's like so many people stop just before the miracle happens, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's that extra, and this, it's not the 95%, it's the extra 5% that you're willing to do that everybody else stopped at.
Oh, yeah. How many people quit 3 feet from gold?
Oh my God, I know.
How many people quit because they don't see the finish line and it was right around the corner?
Absolutely. So I know you had some posts recently, and I know you can't talk too much about it, but it looks like we're going to be seeing you on a cable network sometime in the not too distant future.
Oh, yeah. No, it's going to be amazing. Yeah, appreciate it. So, yeah, I was on the Houston edition of Real Estate King with Grant Cardone. They're currently pitching the show to Netflix, Amazon, Hulu. So nice. We don't know who's going to get it yet. They're working that behind the scenes, but as soon as we know, we're going to let everybody know. And I'm super excited to be a part of it. It was an incredible experience.
So speak into that. I mean, just kind of an idea. I mean, and I don't want you to talk about anything that you can't, because I know that they've got NDAs and you can't share stuff, but I mean, can you kind of share what the general, I mean, I'm familiar with it for our listeners.
So, yeah, the show is like a mix, like a cross match between The Apprentice with real estate. So it's like you're bringing Grant a deal, you're pitching the deal, and he's like, there's no deal here. I'm going to ask you to leave. Like, you're pretty much fired.
Wow, that's rough.
It's intense. It's totally intense.
That's cool, though, man. I mean, but the thing is so many people wouldn't take that opportunity, right? Because they don't want that rejection. They're like, man, I don't want to look like an asshole. I mean.
Oh, man. It was incredible. I was at the site. He came by. He was asking me 1,000 questions. We're walking one of the units. I like kicked over a cat bowl of like cat water, and it's all over the place. And he's like, are you going to clean that up? Like, and I'm like looking for paper towels, and he's still rattling 1,000 questions at me. And I'm like looking through the pamphlet, trying to answer his questions. He's like, you don't know You don't know? You're pitching me this deal. By the way, I got that deal like the night prior. Like, I'm just trying to, like see what the deal is. And he's like, you got to know this deal backwards and forwards. I mean, oh man, he's ripping me up.
Oh wow.
So it's going to be great.
Well,
I
that's
can't wait
cool
for
though. And
everyone
the
to
thing
see it.
is, and that's that Marine Corps entrepreneur mentality of, hey, listen, I may win or I may lose. So my dad's a Marine, right? And he
Yeah.
had this thing, and I love this, and it's like kind of how I live my entire life. He's like, Jason, you got to go balls out in everything you do, because you're either going to win or you're going to go down in such a huge ball of flames that either way they will remember your name.
I love that. I love that.
Win big, lose big, right?
Oh, I love that. I love it. That's awesome.
So where are you headed? What's your next 24 months going to look like? What's your huge goal? What's the thing that you're working on right now that everyone around you is saying that might be a little bit much?
I mean, my goal is very clear: 100 million in annual sales. I know that I likely need to continue building my team to make that happen because I can't do everything by myself. So just working on building the right team in place, the right infrastructure, and achieving greatness. 100 million in annual sales, and then scaling to 1 billion in annual sales. Those are my two objectives, big objectives.
I like that B word. That's a fun word. I like that one.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So in your team, what is your, like, if somebody was going to go like manufacture a team member for you, and again, I want people to think about this because again, this is not real estate specific, this is any business, but if you could go make an assembly line of a brand new person that's going to be joining your team, what are the 5 components that you're going to put into them?
So I would say first and foremost is dedication and determination. Like, I need someone who's got grit and is willing to push through the learning curve. There's always a learning curve. It's going to take some time to ramp up. Nobody is successful overnight, even though they call people overnight success. Grant Cardone's an overnight success.
Yeah, it only took 10 years to become an overnight success, right?
Except he's been in real estate for 40 years now. So he didn't just amass a $5.5 billion portfolio overnight. No one has done that.
Yeah.
Unless someone hands it over to you. Like, no one's really done that. So, it takes determination. I want someone who's committed. I want someone who's ready, willing, and able to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
Sure.
That being said, a great attitude is important. Having a great attitude, especially when things get tough. The customer's always right. Customer's always first. Even when the customer's not right, they're right. Like, you don't want to get into an argument with someone. There's nice ways to let people off or kind of, explain the situation. And they don't know, but we've all had customers where they feel that they know everything. They know this real estate business more than you. And so just being able to finesse them and have a great attitude and a positive attitude goes a long way.
Winston Churchill has a famous saying, and I know I'm going to butcher this, but essentially it's like the greatest tool that a man can possess is the ability to tell someone to go to hell and make them anticipate the trip.
He's got a bunch of great
he does
things, actually.
I was crushed because I grew up my entire childhood thinking that was my dad's quote, and then I found it in a book and I was like, bro, that wasn't my dad, that was Winston Churchill.
What, did he have it on the wall or something?
No, he told me that all the time. He was like, Jason, words matter. What you say matters. How you say it matters. The inflection, the tonality, the look on your face. And so like, it's great in my business. My wife hates it though. I'm like, what did you mean by that? She's like, I meant what I said. Stop analyzing me.
That's awesome.
So last question. What is the number one factor for you in your day? Just Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, what is the one thing that determines the success or failure of your day?
Oh, that's a great question. A few things. I would definitely say, how many contacts have I made? How many people have I talked to about real estate conversations?
Sure.
Well, buying or selling. How many people have I talked to? How many appointments have I gone on? How many deals have we gotten signed? And how much content did I get out there? How many people saw me online and got a chance to know who I am? That's very important. Even though there's no immediate gratification from that, sometimes maybe that's rare. but putting out content and getting known is the utmost, most important thing on my plate. So I got to make sure I'm doing that every day.
Well, I think what I love about that is that you're just straight up playing the long game, right? And every moment, it's like people fail to understand whether it's in real estate or any other business. I'm eating today what I created a month, 2 months, 6 months ago, right? And so by constantly playing that long game, I'm not focused on the here and now. I'm focused on the long term. I'm focused on the future, and that's what builds your network, and that's what builds your net worth, is the ability to play that long game.
100%. 100%.
Well, awesome, man. Well, hey, before we let you go, I know you've got a meeting at 2, and I do not want to get in the way of your content or having that next real estate phone call. What is the best way for people to reach you?
So I am on every single social media platform, whichever is your favorite, whatever you like to go to. Let's connect there. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. I'm on TikTok. Whatever is your favorite platform, go ahead and let's connect on there. I would love to get to know you. Thank you so much for the time and allowing me to speak to your audience, Jason. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
That means the world to me. Thank you so much. If there's anything I can do on the other end, let me know. And I will add the premier website for Houston Luxury Real Estate, HoustonLuxuryRealEstate.com. Let's connect there. Shoot me an email or any social media platform, whatever you like. I'm all over. I got to be omnipresent everywhere at all times.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Excellent. Hey, everybody, don't forget, you got to subscribe. Make sure you follow him on social media. Check him out at HoustonLuxuryRealEstate.com. And when we get off the recording, I'm going to ask you how the hell you ended up getting that .com without paying 50 grand for it. All right, everybody have a great week. We're going to see you back next week.